So I'm a geologist. I always make forward-looking statements. That's my warning. I mean, I'm very excited about this project, and I have been if you've seen me talk before. We have a great asset here, over 70,000 hectares in an area where I can drive my pickup truck to all of our exploration targets. Now that's pretty unusual in Canada. Most of these districts that have this kind of infrastructure have already been found, but we're sitting on kind of, I feel, a very unique opportunity. We have a great management team, experience in this technically with myself and our VP of Exploration, Anna Hicken, but our board of directors and our management team are all like-minded. We know we're good at exploring, and that's what we're setting out to do. So you won't hear me talk about resources. We're really looking for that big discovery, that big game changer exploration project here in the Dryden district. And when I say the Dryden district, we really hold almost all of it. So again, 70,000 hectares, huge land package. We have a great list of major shareholders. We started this company, became public in 2024, so we're 2 years old. We've really hit the ground running and expanded this quite a bit. We had another great Christmas present this year. So last year when I was here speaking, we had just had a strategic investment from Centerra, so that was our Christmas present in 2024. And this year, our Christmas present was to see a lot of our warrants being cashed in from our major shareholders. So we are even more financed than we expected to be going into 2026. We're going to have a very aggressive exploration campaign here. We were planning on 23,000 meters. We're looking at 32,000 meters of drilling this year. So drills are turning back home, and it's very exciting to be starting the year off this way. So Chen mentioned where we're located. So we're just a little bit south of the Red Lake mine. I spent 8 years of my career there, so I really know this sort of terrain, this district, how to find this very high-grade gold. If you compare us to similar deposits, this area that we were working on was mined in the early 1900s, but they just scratched the surface. You know, it was hard times those days. They were pulling this out in horse and buggy, so they really just found what they could on surface. And we feel we can really expand this, and there's huge potential at depth if you look at us compared to other similar deposits. Now, we're right off of the Trans-Canada Highway. There's only one highway that goes across the country, and everything that goes through has to go through the Dryden town that I actually live in. It's a great neighborhood, a lot of gold in this neck of the woods. Our land package was put together very systematically. So we were looking at the best controls for high-grade gold mineralization and really picked up everything along that. So the black dashed lines there are the major faults. Those are the gold-bearing fluid conduits. That's where all the gold will be captured. So you can see that the way we've staked this ground and done option agreements and a lot of deals with small prospectors, it was all very systematic and very strategic. We also have a very systematic approach to exploration. So we do smaller passes of drill programs because this is early stage exploration. We want to be able to integrate all of the results, all of the geochemistry, and really fine-tune each program as they happen. We have extremely low drill costs. We're at $250 Canadian all in, and that's with full sampling drilling, geochemistry, and oriented core. So it's great to be located somewhere where you can actually get around. I should put McDonald's and Walmart on my map, but it's pretty cool to actually be in a city, go home at night, and then drive out to the drill site and the exploration targets every day. Over the past 2 years, we've had some really great results ourselves. So there's a historic hole on this property of 53,000 grams per ton. Yeah, that's correct. That's all gold in that picture. And when I first was joining the company, I saw that and said, okay, that looks an awful lot like Red Lake, the high-grade zone. There has to be a significant system here. So that was really what drew me to the project to want to come work on this team. And from that, we've made some discoveries ourselves, like 300 grams over almost 4 meters last year, 55 over 3.5. We made some new discoveries on the property ourselves at the Hinman target, which is on an east-west trending fault within the land package. That was something that we discovered in 2023 in our first reconnaissance program. And that we're doing our very first drill program on right now. So it's a very exciting project. We have a two-pronged approach to exploration. So we have, the most drilling has been done at Gold Rock. That's where there was historic mining. So we've got about 50% of our energy focused on that. But we have this 70,000 hectare property with great exploration potential. So the rest of our energy is really looking at where can we make the next discovery? Where is there something else really lurking here that could be a game changer for this jurisdiction? We do have some neighbors. I think I skipped that on the last slide, but Kinross is in the camp. Centerra is our strategic investor. They also are invested in Kenorland, which has the south end of this property in what I call the moose pasture, where no one's explored really at all. So there's a lot of eyes on us in this district, and we hold most of it. So I mentioned that I spent 8 years in Red Lake, and one of the things I noticed first about this property was the similarities. So when you look at the cartoon there of the Red Lake mine, you see the folded architecture and then the faults that intersect that. That creates excellent traps for high-grade gold mineralization. And when you look at Dryden, it's the same exact pattern. So, all of the structural geology can be quite complex for us that aren't geos, and even us that are. But what it boils down to is you want to have these traps for high-grade gold, and it's all about pattern recognition. So to start to see those patterns, I got really excited about the potential. From that, we started to develop our structural interpretation of the project, knowing that there was early stage deformation that preps the rocks, and then the major shear zone. But then with the oriented core, with relogging that we've done, we really started to fine-tune that and find where the intersections are that we believe control the highest grade mineralization on the property. And if we look at a plan map now of where we are sitting today, when we started exploring here, we only knew about the red full lines there. All of those dashed lines are new zones that we made through discoveries, through drilling, through relogging core, and through reinterpretation, and actually compiling the old maps and things and figuring out exactly where the historic mines were. So it's really grown. This 1 by 1 kilometer footprint of the Gold Rock target area, used to be 3 zones, now it's many more than that, and still growing with our exploration campaign today. If we look at, I'll go back. If we look at just the Elora shear zone, which is the top solid line, if we're looking at that zone, that's really grown to date too. So if we looked at this 2 years ago, we just had one chute, a couple drill holes, and we were hoping that we might be able to fill this in. So over the past 2 years, we've really started to see a pattern of the highest grade gold mineralization. It's really at these intersections, and we're starting to predict where that is. So in 2026, we'll continue to focus on this. We're really looking for what's purple on here, the 30 gram meter better intercepts, and how we can target that across this strike and across all of those different stacked structures. So that's our goal for this year, is starting to predict that high grade and really capitalize on it. Now, talking about predicting at the mine scale, but what about on the deposit scale? In Gold Rock, we have 20 kilometers of this trend. So one of our goals last year was to find another deposit scale kind of periodicity or a pattern to this. So we stepped out about 2 kilometers to the north at what we call Mud Lake, and we did a small drill campaign, and we expanded our mapping to new areas that we had hoped, based on the geophysics and our interpretation, could be favorable. So the mapping campaign had the most exciting results. We found an area where there's that bend in the geology that always creates nice traps for high grade, and we got samples like 93 grams per ton on surface. So we're back right now working on permitting back home in Dryden, talking with the First Nations in this area about this expanded exploration campaign for 2026. So we're working right now on being able to target that Mud Lake North, as I call it. So why do we care about this deposit scale repetition? Well, I'm going to use Red Lake because that's my bread and butter as an example. But you can see here on the long section of the Red Lake mine a real pattern to these zones. And as you start to have this repeating pattern on these mine scale systems, you get 30 million ounces, or 28, I believe, is what's actually mined at the Red Lake complex. So we're hoping we have something similar. If you look at Gold Rock, what we have today, Mud Lake being a new discovery, we also see other geophysical anomalies with similar fingerprints to the north and to the south. So if we start to get multiple of these kind of mines, then you really get something significant, and hopefully it's 30 million ounces or better. We've set ourselves up with this kind of pipeline of targets, and I will very, very quickly just point out we have Hinman, which I mentioned before, and Sheridan. They're permitted. We're doing work on those this year, and I will end that with where we are today. So 32,000 meters of drilling is planned for this year. We're really well funded. We are already on the ground drilling, and we'll have results out again soon. Had some earlier this week on our exploration targets. So thank you, Chen, for having us. And remember, Dryden Gold, come talk to us more at the booth.